Hey guys, Levelcap here. Today I'll be reviewing the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare single player campaign. I beat it the first day it came out. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it the whole way through. Now I want to talk about some of the things that make this a good single player campaign, some of the things that actually hold it back. I did play it through on the PC version, and I do feel that the PC version is probably not as well optimized as you're going to get on a console experience. But I'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about the immersion experience of this game right off the bat. As a Call of Duty game, it throws you into the action right away, and one of the first missions in the game is fighting a battle in South Korea. The North Koreans are invading. There's lots of high-tech technology all over the place. We've got tanks that have treads but can also walk around. You've got a exosuit that has jump jet capabilities, cool grenades that'll pinpoint enemies on the map for you, high-tech guns. Yet none of these things are so far-fetched that you feel like you're out of place or in a future that would never be. It really does feel like this is something that our current military is very much going towards. We've already got exosuits in the works. We've got a lot of this technology that is basically in development right now, and this future is just extrapolating upon those technologies and saying, what would it look like in 30 or 40 years from now? What kind of wars would we be fighting, and what would they look like? Now, I'm certainly not going to vouch that everything in this game is realistic. It is still a video game, and they do have to have crazy, over-the-top Michael Bay-ish action for it to be fun and for it to, frankly, be considered a Call of Duty single player. They're always over-the-top and always crazy, but it strikes, in my opinion, a perfect balance between a believable and realistic-looking world and some crazy, over-the-top, fun video game action. Now, as you beat the first mission and the story begins to unfold a bit more, it becomes clear that this is not your average Call of Duty campaign or storyline where some bad guy terrorist has stolen a nuke, he's gonna detonate it in the US, or there's a chemical warhead that he stole. This is a much bigger storyline and a much bigger character arc, and you actually start to get into it. There was a lot of time spent on the story in this game, and there's really a lot of time actually spent in cutscenes in between missions or during missions. They will cut to a cutscene to tell you more about what's going on in the story. And normally I'm really annoyed by the quantity of cutscenes, but because I was so into the story, I didn't mind it as much. I will say though that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare felt a little bit more like a movie in many situations than it did a video game, and I'm not saying that in a positive way. Personally, when I'm playing a video game, I like to constantly feel like I'm being challenged, and I like to feel like I'm always in control of my character. But in Call of Duty, they use cutscenes a lot to force your character through certain actions and pull off more elaborate action sequences and stuff like that, and it sort of pulls you out of control, which is something that I've never been a huge fan of in video games. I understand why they do it, but then again, I feel like video games are trying to become more and more like movies and a little bit less like video games. The fortunate thing for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is that if it was a movie, I would watch it all the way through, and that's what happened with Advanced Warfare. I just got into the story, I got into the action, and I really just wanted to see it all the way through, regardless of the quantity of cutscenes that were just taking me out of control. Now, the graphics in this game are actually quite impressive. I won't say that they're phenomenal because it's pretty clear that this game kind of suffers from being optimized for a lot of different platforms. It plays on old gen consoles, it plays on new gen consoles, and it plays on PC. They're designing this game to play specifically on PC and only on PC. I have a feeling they probably would have spent a little bit more time like maximizing some of the visuals. That being said, it's still a very cool looking game. There's a lot of very, very impressive animation sequences that kind of make up for the fact that perhaps the lighting or the texture quality isn't mind-blowingly awesome. And as much as I appreciate a game that is generally more intended for the console audience coming to the PC with a decent PC port, I can't say that this is the greatest PC port I've ever seen. Even if it is better than some of the previous Call of Duty games, I found problems like there being a memory leak during the campaign campaign, the longer I played, the laggier my game would get. I would have to basically restart my computer to get rid of that lag, which was a big issue for me. And there was also a substantial amount of key binding issues, to the point where it looked like people hadn't even really played through the single player campaign too much on PC. Otherwise, they would have noticed just how bad some of the control schemes were. In the beginning of the game, I rebound a few of the keys to set up the game the way that I personally like to play, and this is something that pretty much all PC players do when they start a campaign. You bind grenade and duck and jump and all that kind of stuff to the keys that you prefer if it's not that by default, and then you go and you play through the campaign. Well, I noticed that in a lot of QuickTime events and cutscenes, it would tell me to press a certain button, like right mouse click to detonate a certain charge, and I would hit that and it wouldn't detonate the charge. I would fail the mission, I'd replay it again, get to that part, and I'd hit right click again when it told me to, and it wouldn't work again. And then I found out that the on-screen warning basically was just not updating with what my key binding actually was. And this was really confusing and really annoying, and it actually happened a lot throughout the single player campaign. I also found that by choosing the hold to crouch option versus the toggle crouch option made it so that when I tried to perform certain super suit maneuvers, it actually said that the button to do that maneuver was unbound, and I could only do it if I used the toggle crouch button instead. So there's some weird control stuff that just should not have been in the game. These are very, very simple bugs that should have been caught and should have been fixed. There's also a lot of weird moments where the AI characters in the game would walk into you and knock you off of ledges, or trap you in certain areas, or basically push you along in a direction you didn't want to go, or kind of glitch you out. This was unfortunately a little too frequent in the campaign, and again falls into the category of easy bugs to fix that I imagine most players are experiencing. And if I ever wanted to change the graphics settings on the PC side of things, if I wanted to go in and change the refresh rate, or change the resolution, or change the textures or something like that, if I was in the middle of a mission, it would actually exit me out of the whole game, reload the game, load me back into that mission, but you would have to rewatch the entire cutscene of that mission from beginning to end, which could be 3 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. So you're just sitting there watching a cutscene that you just saw, and then it fast forwards you back to the same spot in the mission that you were before. Really, really awkward settings for just adjusting some simple graphic settings in your menu. And I want to stress that a lot of the menu and key binding bugs that I'm experiencing are probably not present on the console side of things. So if you're thinking about getting this game for the console, then these issues probably don't apply to you. And it's really unfortunate that the Call of Duty franchise pretty much treats the PC version of the game as a port. It feels like it's an outsourced version of the game that just doesn't get the same kind of attention to detail as the console version. That being said, the campaign is still really good. It's crazy. You go all over the world, you fight tons of different kinds of guys, you have crazy different kinds of weapons, yet at the same time it still feels like you're in a real world. It doesn't feel like everything is totally made up and totally fictitious, and that is in large part due to the quality of the writing in the game and the quality of the acting and visuals. The cutscenes, the characters look so real that you want to believe them, you feel attached to them, and they just come across as real people, and I think that really serves to enhance the feeling of realism and even your attachment to the characters in the game. And when it comes to the enjoyment of the overall gameplay and the combat, there's a lot of variety in the campaign. There's a huge amount of environments, from snowy to forest to highly industrial, and there's a large amount of weapons, and you're going to go through them all the time because you burn through your ammo, you pick up a new gun, it performs a little bit differently, you're going to need cool grenades to take out certain kinds of bad guys, so you're going to make use of all your gadgets and gear frequently, which is nice. It forces you to change up your playstyle quite a bit rather than just sticking to one weapon that you're comfortable with. There's nothing particularly mind-blowing about the AI or anything like that, but the level design is certainly top quality, and it's going to facilitate a really fun playthrough from start to finish. Aside from the annoying PC bugs, it's still a worthwhile campaign, a fun playthrough. I would certainly get rid of more of the QuickTime events. There's nothing that bothers me more than tap spacebar or tap this button to punch this guy or jump at the right time that it tells you to jump on the screen. I would rather just be in charge of my own character. If I have to jump from one object to another, make me run and jump between those two objects. Then again, maybe I'm an old school gamer. If you like single players, you'll certainly enjoy Advanced Warfare single player, and if you don't like single players, you might still enjoy this single player. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll have the multiplayer review to you shortly. I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.